Tory Lanez found guilty on all counts. Where are you liars now? Where are you liars now that accused her of lying? Where are you liars now after she said she damn near wished she had been killed? After you all put her on trial for telling you the truth, which was that she had been shot, and you called her a liar. Where are you liars now? Where are you now, Drake? Where is everyone that supported and defended Drake? Where are you now, everyone who put the woman on trial? Where are you now?
All right, Mom, I gotta go. I love you.
Hey, Etienne, I want you to listen to something.
Mom, I gotta go. I'm late. When I get back, okay?
Oh, come on, man. It's only going to take a minute.
Mom, can I do when I get back? I'm late. I gotta go. I'm sorry. I love you.
Please.
That dashing through the snow, yeah. In a one-horse open sleigh. Over the hills we go, laughing all the way, laughing all the way. Jingle bells, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. Oh, what fun it is to sing this sleighing song tonight. Jingle bells, who can jingle bells, bells who can jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Jingle bells, who can jingle bells, bells who can jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Sleigh, open sleigh. Feels like Christmas. Oh, the magic's in the air. Happy holiday.
So, what'd you think?
I'm really impressed. You going places. I love you. Keep on slaying.
Slay.
Jingle all the way. Bells on bobtails.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Thank you for joining me here for Conversations with Taz for Freeform Fridays. If you're new here, we've got a little miscellaneous commentary, some blind react. It's a mix-up. It's a Friday night party and a day for us to catch up. Yes, you get me in my bathrobe. So get comfy. As you heard at the top of the show, and this is coming from the BBC, Megan Thee Stallion jury finds Tory Lanez guilty of shooting rapper. A jury in Los Angeles convicted the 30-year-old Canadian of felony negligent discharge of a firearm, assault with a semi-automatic firearm, and carrying a loaded and unregistered firearm. He faces more than 20 years in prison. Megan Thee Stallion, a 27-year-old Grammy-winning rapper, earlier testified that she was shot in the feet after leaving a pool party. Lane showed no reaction as the verdict was read out. He was remanded in custody and is due to be sentenced on January 27th. It was not immediately known whether he planned to appeal. Speaking after the case concluded, one of Megan Thee Stallion's lawyers told reporters, "The jury got it right. I am thankful there is justice for Meg." The rapper was not in court to hear the verdict. During the trial, Megan, whose real name is Megan Pete, testified that she was shot and wounded at the party in the Hollywood Hills on July 12, 2020. The rapper argued that Lanez, whose real name is Daystar Peterson, became enraged after she had disparaged his musical talent. She said she demanded to be let out of a luxury car before he fired 5 rounds at her. She told the jury the Canadian had told her to dance before opening fire. And as that young lady said in that video, a lot of apologies are owed to Meg the Stallion. See, a lot of times people get on these bandwagons and they're such fans of people that they are willing to victim blame. They are willing to victim shame and not even hear things out, and are so quick, especially when it comes to Black women, to say that somebody is victimizing themselves or lying for clout or lying for this. I remember seeing the video of her limping. Like, there were reports of her being in the hospital and having to have like, everybody tried to nitpick everything instead of just holding him accountable. And even if you're like, oh, I wasn't there, I didn't know what happened, then why not keep your mouth shut until now? Now you have a verdict. I didn't speak on it because every time I thought about it, it just enraged me. It enraged me. Meg was even quoted as saying she wished he would have killed her because she never imagined she would go through as much as she has. This woman has lost her mother and her grandmother and was shot. And the public at large has treated her as if she's a criminal. The misogynoir of it all. The misogynoir of it all. Now, in case you haven't heard, grab your pearls. This is how they voted on the Crown Act.
I want to pay attention to this story because this fight is on and popping as Senate Republicans are attempting to secure a plan to make sure the discrimination ban based on hair texture or styles does not become law, federal law that is. Now, the legislation would make discrimination against a person because of his or her natural hair a federal crime if that person's hairstyle or texture is associated with a particular race or national origin. Senator Cory Booker led an effort to pass the Crown Act, which stands for Creating a Respectful and Open World for Natural Hair, with unanimous approval in the upper chamber. So President Biden could sign that into law. But following the lead of Senator Rand Paul, GOP senators blocked the bill from being passed in the Senate. Like I said, the fight continues.
Now, tell me again that the GOP isn't racist? You know what? There is a woman who is so pissed off about a Black woman community empowerment trend on TikTok. You know what? Let's have her tell us that. Let's go through and break down her video. It can't be that bad, right?
Into my response, I'd like to say one thing. When you run to TikTok to tattle on me for harassment and bullying, I'd like you also to tell them that you first came to my sandbox. And rather than me reporting you for harassment and bullying, I chose to put my big girl panties on and address you as an equal.
When you feel someone is equal to you, you actually listen to what they have to say and you take it into account. And I've seen you all over TikTok not taking anything into account. And Black women and women of color, statistically, unless you're a pedophile or a murderer, we're not reporting you. We were born with our big girl panties on. But okay, Karen, let's continue.
I think it goes without saying that it's obvious that having Black friends don't make you Black. Clearly. However, I do have Black friends who are extremely intelligent and wonderful people and whom I love very much.
So you're going to tokenize your Black friends. Okay. One tenet of white supremacy down. Doesn't make you Black, but you're going to utilize your proximity to Blackness to continue to triple down on your ignorant argument. Okay, all right, that's what you want to do. I mean, you wear the uniform. Let's go.
And I'm not sure what trend you're talking about. Is being black trendy now? Is that what this is? Because it's might be considered a little racist.
Okay, first of all, black has always been considered trendy. It is very racist to do that, but you mediocre white people use everything that we create, you appropriate our culture, and you monetize it. Because what else do you have to your existence? But, still waiting for you to have gotcha moment, but okay. Yet another tenet of white supremacy, but keep going.
Let us have something. Well, you've got affirmative action. You've got all black colleges, all black scholarships. You've got
Okay, let's take a pause there. We don't have affirmative action. White women have affirmative action. We don't have all black colleges. We have historically black colleges and universities that have never been exclusive to black people. And as far as scholarships, scholarships are generally based upon economic need. Now, outside of the United Negro College Fund, most scholarships that have a race attached to them aren't for black people. But what else did you say?
the BET channel. You've got the BET Award.
No, we don't have the BET channel anymore. And the only reason we had to create the BET channel was because people who look like you were not letting us into those spaces unless we played a stereotypical role, which means that we had to downplay ourselves. But now, currently, BET is owned by people who look like you. And the BET Awards, because did you miss just a couple months ago and a few years ago and a decade ago that they were pissed that black artists were showing up at the CMTs and they really don't like to, award us anywhere else because we've had how many whiteouts at the Oscars and the Grammys? See where I'm going here, Beckiana? Well, let's continue.
Awards, and you've got an entire month dedicated to celebrating your history and culture.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's almost as if there aren't 12 months in a year. Like we're currently in the 12th month. Like we're wrapping up 2022. So we get 1 month that most schools teach a bit of slavery as if it wasn't that bad. MLK, very watered down. A little sprinkling of Rosa Parks, very watered down. A little sprinkling of Malcolm X, very watered down, and leave it alone. But the rest of the year, it's dedicated to whose history? Whose? And if you want to learn about African American history within the United States, you have to take it as an elective, not even a full-fledged course in K through 12. But yeah, we got a month, You got the whole year, but yeah. 1 month. Whoo, you just checking off the tenets of white supremacy, aren't you? Okay, you're an overachiever as far as being a racist. All righty, okay. No racist participation trophy for you. You're gonna earn that gold star. All righty, let's keep going.
I'm not real sure what else it is that you're looking for because that sounds to me like quite a few somethings.
I don't know. Maybe equity, maybe not to be target practice for the police, maybe, to wear our hair as it grows out of our head and have a job, maybe have historic and culturally significant names and not be declined for a job. The ability to not have to work 4 to 5 times more and harder than you and actually get paid equally instead of pennies on the dollar after you. Maybe those things. Maybe. I don't know. Hmm. 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 And see, she's the type of white woman that fervently believes that she's not racist while spewing white supremacist tenets and racial tropes because she's not screaming the N word at someone and because she's not attending KKK meetings. That's it. Like they really convinced themselves that if they're not doing those two things, they're not racist. And it's always interesting to me that those that always want to tokenize their Black family members, their Black friends. When you ask them, have you talked to them about their experience? It's crickets. They just go, well, I see. Mm-mm. No, you window shop. Have you asked them about their experience? Just like people that are like, well, I grew up in a neighborhood and I had Black neighbors, but did you ever talk to them about their experience in the neighborhood? Hmm. 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 Go out on a limb and say, hell no. But from one racist to a collection of them, here's an update on those GOP tiers.
Okay, so do you folks remember the Republican congresswoman who cried on the House floor because she didn't want a bill protecting marriage equality to pass? Well, we have an amazing update to the story. In response to that, President Biden invited her gay nephew, who's also an activist, to the White House to watch him sign the marriage equality bill into law. And as you can see, there he is at the White House. I mean, what a perfect response. You really do love to see it.
If you remember, if you've been watching for a while, I did show you his video in response to it and him saying how last year he came out to her and that's how she's acting. But hey, poetic justice is so delicious. But the GOP didn't stop there. Protect the children, right? And they have this whole replacement theory going on where white people are going to be replaced and be the minority so soon. So you would think that they would be super protective of IVF, in vitro fertilization, for specifically at least white women and white men who, want to conceive but are having a hard time. Nope, you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. Here we go.
Well, hey there, y'all. So in today's Republican Women Strike Again news, y'all, this clump of brittle split ends is Cindy Hyde-Smith. She is a Republican senator from Mississippi. Cindy here is the second Republican woman who has blocked unanimous passage of a bill that would provide protections for reproductive freedom. The first one happened back in July when they were trying to pass the Right to Contraception Act unanimously, but was blocked by this glass of rancid buttermilk, Joni Ernst, the Republican senator from Iowa. Legislation that was introduced by Tammy Duckworth, the Democrat senator from Illinois, was called the Right to Build Families Act. This would have prohibited limiting an individual from seeking or receiving fertility treatments and would have created a federal right to assisted reproductive technology. This would include technologies like in vitro fertilization, which millions of people rely on to be able to start their families. Many people may wonder why Cindy Hyde-Smith would do such a thing. Well, I've actually covered this before. Many extreme right-to-lifers believe that life begins at conception. And when you're talking about in vitro fertilization, that conception happens in a petri dish. At that point, those embryos are either implanted, frozen and stored for future use, donated, or destroyed. This has led to a moral conundrum for many right-to-lifers who believe that life begins at conception even if it's outside a person's body. They want to strictly control and regulate IVF to prevent those fertilized eggs from being destroyed. This would force couples to either donate their own genetic material to someone else or have them themselves. Tammy Duckworth is rightly pissed. She said that the same Republicans who claim to defend family values just blocked my bill to protect the right to start a family through IVF. But Tammy's not giving up. She said that she will continue to introduce the legislation until it gets passed. Not all right-to-lifers are against IVF, though. If you look at Mike Pence, who he and his wife have benefited from IVF, he is in full support of it, even though he would support a full nationwide ban on abortion. standing in the way of progress, standing in the way of protection for families all across this country are Republican women. This is who is deciding your reproductive freedoms when you don't vote.
Now tell me again about unity amongst women. We're supposed to come together and unite? Yeah, you first. You first. Ooh, we have our first blind reactor of the night. Dear ancestors, please let them be nice to me and not do me like they did me last week. I have high hopes for y'all. I have high hopes for y'all. Don't. All right, here we go.
Did you get a gift for your father yet?
Yes, I got him the, no. I got that for myself.
Did you get something for your sister?
Yes, I think I bought that for me too.
Did you get anything for me?
Oh my god. I mean, you know I shouldn't be allowed to shop online unsupervised.
So you spent what? $100 on yourself?
Oh, more than that.
200? 300? 4? 1,000?
Double that. Twice.
Well, I'm not getting you a thing then.
That's fine. Looks like I got myself everything I wanted.
Well, great. Merry Christmas to...
Me. And only me. And RIP to my bank account. Millennials.
Okay. I know the people who would do that. I know the people who would legitimately do that. Excuse our puppers in the background. I think the mailman is finally getting around and he's losing his ever-loving mind. Let's get into billionaires and their latest investments. Even Brett Favre, the welfare thief, is getting into this type of investment.
This might be one of the most blind to the truth articles I have ever seen from Insider. Why tech billionaires like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Jeff Bezos are all investing in biotech startups that want to link your computer directly to your brain. They go on to say that this is going to lead to medical advancements and being able to detect neurological issues and such. But the truth of the matter is, you have one thing that they value the most: your private data. Why do you think the Zuck is pushing the metaverse so hard? The amount of data you can collect on somebody's movements in the metaverse is insane. He can now track not just what you interact with, but how you interact with it, including every single body movement. And if you weren't aware, this guy right here on my left, he is probably one of the biggest data collectors of all time. Why do you think Amazon has such a good recommendation system? That's something they've worked very hard on. And anyone linking to your brain, they might say they're following privacy laws, but remember Cambridge Analytica? So was Facebook at the time, quote unquote.
Data is big business. That's why there's like facial recognition software at certain places. Like if you ever want to go see the Rockettes, trust me, when you walk in there, facial recognition will be used. This past week, 2 attorneys were told that you got to go because they're in litigation with the law firm that these 2 attorneys work for. Not even the same office, not anything. But oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The news we've all been waiting for. And even though we covered it a little bit the other night, let's dig a little bit deeper into it. And as always, before we move forward, make sure you check out the links in the description of this video. Also, make sure you subscribe, like this video, and click the bell so you can be up to date on everything. And should you like what you've heard so far, please make sure you share it. Here we go.
This is Representative Bill Pascrell. He was testifying yesterday that years ago, he contacted Steven Mnuchin, Trump's former Treasury Secretary, and said, you must produce Trump's tax returns to the Ways and Means Committee because the automatic audit system of the IRS is supposed to be flagging him and is not. He received a disrespectful response from one of Mnuchin's aides calling him intemperate. Here is his response to that.
Being lectured on civility from someone who works for the president, President Trump, is like taking chivalry lessons from Jack the Ripper. It is impossible to be polite to corruption and people who break the law. So by refusing to turn over Donald Trump's business and personal tax returns to this committee, I think you're breaking the law. You have no legitimate legal rationale. We've learned recently that simultaneously you've been offering documents to the loyal opposition. When 2 Republican senators asked you for the private financial information of Joe Biden's family, your department practically tripped over themselves to provide it. You sent it over to them so fast. Wonder if you stuffed it in a Federal Express envelope.
So listen to a video with me real quick.
This thing is costing me a fortune being president. Somebody said, oh, he might have rented a room to a man from Saudi Arabia for $500. What about the $5 billion that I'll lose? You know, it's probably going to cost me, including upside, downside, lawyers, because every day they sue me for something. These are the most litigious people. It's probably costing me from $3 to $5 billion for the privilege of being, and I couldn't care less. I don't care. You know, if you're wealthy, it doesn't matter. I just want to do a great job. That's why I don't care. I want to do the right job. I got sued on a thing called emoluments. Emoluments. You ever hear the word? Nobody ever heard of it before. They went back. Now, nobody looks at Obama getting $60 million for a book. That's okay. Even though nobody in history ever got that much money for a book. Obama got $60 million. Think of it, $60 million for a book. Nobody looks at any, but with me, it's everything, emoluments. Nobody knows what it is. Here's the good news. Last month, I just won 2 cases on emoluments. And the judge was scolding of the other side. And what it is presidential harassment, because this thing is costing me a fortune, and I love it, okay? I love it because I'm making the lives of other people much, much better.
So the speech you just heard was from August 13th, 2019. Basically, him claiming that he was going to lose $3 to $5 billion because of lawsuits, you know, like renting rooms to Saudi Arabian people for $500. Anyways, so this is one of my mutuals. I will tag him below so you can go back and watch his video in full. But basically, he shows a snapshot of Trump's taxes from 2015 to 2020. Now, what's most telling is in 2019, the year that he's making these claims of $3 to $5 billion in losses because of trivial lawsuits, he made a profit of $4.4 million and also only paid 3% of taxes of $133,000. Also worth noting is the years leading up to his presidency, he had record income losses. And yet, despite in 2015 him having a loss of $31 million, he still only paid $350,000 less in taxes from his record high profit year of 2018 while president of $24 million. I'd also like to point out that during 2020, when a massive number of small businesses were being hit hard because of COVID lockdowns and COVID restrictions and just people literally dying of COVID, he still only took a loss of $4 million, which is a fraction of the losses he had pre-president. And he also paid $0 in taxes. Again, all of which was under his tax plan. Please tell me how you can see this information and think he gives a shit about the working class. He doesn't.
All right, so we got a peek at Trump's mythical taxes. We've been waiting for a while. First, I want to point out that it's come to light that his taxes were never under audit, as that was his reason given at why he couldn't release them, that they were under audit. They were never under audit. They only became under audit in 2019 when the Democrat-controlled House requested his taxes. Steve Mnuchin was protecting him at every turn from disclosing these taxes. But when Republicans demanded Biden's, he rushed out the door to get them over. That's one point. But the main point that I want to discuss is look at these numbers. First of all, he claims that he lost money in 2015, 2016, and 2017. And so he ended up paying essentially the numbers on the right-hand side. I want to bring attention, however, to the years that he shows that he did make money. In 2018, 2019, at the height of his so-called Trump miraculous economy, he claimed on his 2018 tax return that he made $24.5 million. And in 2019, he claimed that he made $4.5 million. Look at the federal income taxes paid. In 2018, he paid an effective rate of 4% on his federal income taxes. And in 2019, he paid 3% federal income tax. That is the problem with the United States tax system. When a billionaire, a self-proclaimed billionaire, pays a lower effective tax rate than his secretary. If we keep going down this road, we will become what Russia is today, an oligarchy. Unrestrained capitalism leads to a neo-feudalism. This needs to get under control because any way you slice it, it's not right.
Let's break down a few things. Trump always likes to talk about Obama's book deal. That happened after he left the presidency. The whole emoluments clause, the reason why they had to go back, all they did was go back and look at the Constitution, is because no other president has tried to monetize the presidency. And we did find out that unlike other presidents that were audited by the IRS, Trump was not. All a lie. Also, given where he made profits at while in office, he didn't donate crap. We all knew that. But now it's like, Trump sycophants, what's your new excuse? Where have you moved the goalpost to now? He's not a billionaire. He didn't donate anything. And he didn't win an emoluments case, and nobody was scolded on the other side. The truth just isn't in him. Let's go to the ad. I'll see you in 2 and 2. And we'll keep this train a moving.
Black girls magic, black girls rock. Once we get together, we can't be stopped. Cause we queens, relevant queens, intelligent queens, beautiful queens. Hey, black girl magic, black girls rock. Once we get together, we can't be stopped. Cause we queen, relevant queen, intelligent queen, some beautiful queen. Hey. This one goes out to my sisters from other misters to let you know I'm with ya. Cause we are Nubian goddesses, princess and queens. Yeah, this is our anthem, this is our team. So don't let them say that you ain't beautiful, be true to you. And don't let them say that you ain't relevant, it's evident we queens. Talented queens, gifted queens, inspiring queens. Hey, and no matter what you're going through, just keep your head up, boo. Cause God gave us the power, and it's all in you. You the
Excuse me, Miss Claus, what in the entire world is going on here? Santa out there delivering gifts to children all over the world, and you're up in here about to throw down? And you didn't invite Sugar and Spice? Yo, if there's one thing we elves can make better than toys, it's a party!
Had to have some little holiday fun in there. Let's see. So we have an Indiana judge that's actually doing the right thing and utilized SCOTUS Alita's words against him and something that was signed into law back when Mike Pence was governor. Let's take a look.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Indiana judge uses Alita's own words to block ban on reproductive health care. The judge ruled that abortion rights are protected under American citizens' right to freedom of religion. She used a 2015 bill signed into law by then Mike fucking Pence. This court finds that Indiana, in its own statutes, does not endow zygotes, embryos, or pre-viability fetuses with legal status of human beings. The undisputed evidence establishes that the plaintiffs do not share the state's belief that life begins at fertilization, or that abortion constitutes the intentional taking of a human life. To the contrary, they have different religious beliefs about when life begins, and they believe that under certain circumstances not permitted by SEA 1, they would be required to receive abortions. Under the law, the courts finds that these are sincere religious beliefs. Students for Life in NARAL, you're not the only ones.
That is the epitome of beat them at their own game. Use what they put into law to defeat them. Now we've got another blonde react, and then we'll get into Gen Z, Congress, and rent.
And that concludes 2020. That was 1 year? And that's just the beginning.
Of the end?
In a way.
How long are we going to have to study the 20s?
All year.
All of 7th grade?
And 8th.
That's a massive unit.
That's what she said. Jason? Now, the insurrection was on January 6th, 2021.
6 days in?
Yep.
God damn. The 20s was kicking their ass.
Mr. Brown, when do we get to the invasion? Of Ukraine?
Of Earth.
Well, the aliens came for the first time in May of 22...
That's pretty much how I feel like it's going to go. I promise. Gen Z, Congress, and rent. You'll understand the connection as you watch it.
25-year-old Maxwell Frost, the first Gen Z member of Congress, is having difficulty finding somewhere to live due to his credit score. The Central Florida native said he maxed out his credit cards to win Florida's 10th congressional district seat and was not able to work due to the intensity of running a campaign. After applying for an apartment where he already disclosed his poor credit score, he was denied and was also out a $200 rental fee. This ain't meant for people who don't already have money, Mr. Frost said on Twitter, echoing what many Gen Z teenagers with short credit histories and insufficient capital to afford large deposits are already saying. The average asking rent in Washington, D.C. in November 2022 was over $2,200. According to Frost, application fees are increasingly becoming a source of income for landlords. According to Zillow, the average monthly asking rent in the United States increased to over $2,000 last month from $1,850 in November 2021 and $1,600 in November 2020.
Now, keep in mind, credit scores have not always been around. Credit scores were invented and implemented in 1989. So once again, when someone older is like, well, I did this and I did that. Yeah. Either you were paying minimal amounts for college or nothing at all, pre-Reagan, and you didn't have to worry about a credit score. As long as you had the money, you could buy it. And this was, and keep in mind, they also started utilizing credit scores to determine whether or not you could have employment at certain places. So yeah, a bunch of hogwash. And as always, can't be a Conversations with Taz if we're not updated. If I'm not updating you on Elon Musk. Here we go. Gonna be entertaining as always. Because he's an idiot.
Oh my God. Musquetina is having a come to Jesus moment. Stock values are a combination of company value, confidence in how the business is run, and who runs it. Today, 57 million shares in 97 minutes. Tesla stock isn't worth shit. They have been way overvalued from the beginning, and now with this whole little Twitter bullshit, holy fuck, this man's gonna go bankrupt. Oh God, please. Please let it happen. Still will not go to church, but I may consider it for 0.5 seconds.
In those tweets are accurate. So according to Forbes, Prince Al-Walid bin Talal bin Abdulaziz of Saudi Arabia, you're welcome, announced in a Securities and Exchange Commission filing that he'd made good on his $1.9 billion commitment, making him the social media company's second largest shareholder after Musk. And the Qatar Investment Fund announced in an SEC filing that it had committed a previously agreed upon $375 million.
Okay, wait till the right wing finds out. No, this was about owning someone, right? You know, oh yeah, Musk bought Twitter to own the libs. No, it turns out Muslim royalty bought Twitter to own Christian America. Oops.
Well, chickens are coming home to roost. I hope he has other investments. I hope he has a investment banker. I hope he has a money manager. He wanted to hire a weed head surfer as an advisor. So I don't really have much faith in Musk, but you know, when you over exaggerate, do they not learn anything from one another? Because Musk was pulling the same stuff that Trump was pulling, and none of this stuff works out for them. Delusions of grandeur. And I guess when you grow up in an echo chamber, must be nice. And speaking of Trump, of course I got more Trump news. He's everywhere. We don't want him to be.
We've learned that one of Donald Trump's aides follows him around his golf courses in a cart equipped with a laptop and a printer, and she prints off uplifting news about him when he needs a morale boost. His aides are also known to phone Trump's network of friends to ask them to call Trump to lift his low spirits. We've also learned Trump is sad about how many bodyguards are protecting him now versus when he was president. He's also sad about the number of cars in his motorcade. He also misses Air Force One.
Of dictating messages in his ketchup castle because he has released a video of him ranting about the spending bill and the betrayal of the Senate Republicans. If he can't defund the FBI and the DOJ, how is he going to halt all these investigations?
This bill will make the border worse. It will make crime worse. It will make the economy worse. It will make inflation worse. It will make every single one of Joe Biden's total catastrophes even more ruinous and damaging to our country. Our country is going to hell because of what they've done in the last 2 years. Passing a spending bill now, before Republicans take control of Congress on January 3rd, would squander our best chance to hold Biden fully accountable and force him to secure the border in the new year. Mitch McConnell, who is an absolute disaster, by the way, must not be allowed to waste this golden opportunity. He's more of a Democrat than a Republican. What he's doing to this party is incredible, and what he's doing to our nation is incredible.
Now, they always say secure the border, but we all know they only mean the southern border because, they just don't want black and brown people coming in. And that didn't work out so well. I mean, can we stop rehashing dumb Reagan plans? Like, can we please? Reagan started that wall crap. It was never completed. People were still coming please remember what is etched on the Statue of Liberty. And all of these GOP idiots, the vast majority of them come from everybody except for Native Americans comes from immigrant heritage, but you get what I'm saying, like in recent generations, and they forget. But if you think I'm being harsh and I'm reaching when I call the GOP idiots, take a look at this idiot that was mad about something that included his own bill. Like, here we go.
Of Clay Higgins screaming that he's opposed to the omnibus and then being informed immediately after that his veterans bill is actually included in it. Have a listen.
You're cold and hungry and feel betrayed by this body. And I understand that sentiment and passion because I share it. I thank the gentleman for my time, and I stand opposed.
The gentleman's time
to
has
this
expired.
omnibus.
Gentleman from Pennsylvania reserved. Gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, may I inquire from the gentleman? Yeah, I think I should tell the gentleman who just spoke that I'm told that his veterans bill is actually in the omnibus. He's got a bill in this omnibus. But can I inquire from the gentleman from Pennsylvania how many more speakers that he has?
No more speakers, Mr. Chairman. I'm prepared to close.
Thank God. Okay.
Now, we discussed before how various members of the GOP have been busted just asleep in the chambers. But now that they're not even reading what they're so fervently against, like the level of if any one of us non-politicians, especially on the federal level, was this horrible at our job and just refused to do our job, we would be fired, like so expeditiously. But let's go on. January 6th and Trump.
We have some massive news from earlier today. The January 6th committee says that Donald Trump tried to bribe witnesses so they would not testify against him. Now, obviously, that is a crime. You cannot do that. A witness was offered a job by people who are connected to Donald Trump that would have made her very financially comfortable as her testifying date was upcoming. And then the offers were withdrawn once the person testified. I mean, to me, that sounds as clear as it's going to get. They were trying to use this job to make her not testify against Donald Trump. Now the committee knows that. Donald Trump and the people around him are in even more legal trouble. Basically, Cassidy Hutchinson told the January 6th committee that before she testified, Ben Williamson, a former aide to Donald Trump's White House chief of staff, Mark Meadows, said, well, Mark wants me to let you know that he knows you're loyal and he knows you'll do the right thing tomorrow and that you're going to protect him and the boss. And what that means is they were asking Cassidy Hutchinson to lie in her testimony to protect Donald Trump and Mark Meadows, which is, of course, a crime because she was testifying under oath. The charges just keep building up.
It just amazes me, given the welfare queen that Donald Trump is, the amount of people who are burning down their careers for him. He doesn't pay any of his bills. He's always looking for government subsidies. He's a grifter like no other. And you would think that they were doing this because there was some big payday at the end of it, or he was Don Corleone or something. And he's none of those things. None of them. But, you know. But from one grifter to the next, got yet another update on Congressman-elect George Santos. This rabbit hole is just to the center of the earth. So journey with me on down it.
Oh, New York, pay attention. I got some tea. Come here. Get your ink pens ready for a recall because you're going to want to recall George Santos. He lied his entire resume. I'll give you some background. First, he directed a Ponzi scheme. He financially supported insurrectionists. He had his election campaign funded by a Putin oligarch. He invented his entire backstory. Goldman Sachs has no record of him ever working there. Baruch College has no record of him graduating there in 2010 like he says. They've got no record. Citigroup and Goldman Sachs told the Times they have no record of him ever working there. Officials at the college he says he graduated has no record of him ever graduating there. Also, his animal rescue group has no record of ever being tax exempt. In 2008, Mr. Santos, when he was 19, he stole a checkbook of a man his mother was caring for. He used the checkbook to make fraudulent purchases. 2 years later, he confessed to the crime. Thinks he's not the person he says he is.
So if you're keeping track, also the news dropped yesterday that he wasn't in fact Jewish. He claimed he had Jewish heritage. So not Jewish, didn't go to the schools that he went to. They can find no record of his animal shelters. They can find no record of his business. They can find no records of his property holdings that he claims that he has. The school that he claimed he went to has no record of him. Citibank and his other employers have no record of him. The address that he listed where he used for his voting address, they've never heard of him. In fact, nobody knows where he lives. We have no idea who this person is. At this point, as my friend Dara said, he literally could be 3 raccoons in a trench coat. We don't know who he is.
Now I know some people are like, oh, but he could have been married to a woman and been closeted and came. Yeah, but he claims that he's always been openly gay. If you've always been openly gay, why would you need a beard? Now, if he's bisexual, hey, be bisexual. Yay. But why lie? Like, literally every step of the way, everything has been a lie. But that's the GOP for you. And the GOP gets even more problematic. Take a look.
So listen to this. A Republican lawmaker from Texas just hired a 22-year-old who called for drag show attendees to be publicly unalived, and he celebrated George Floyd's passing, and now he's serving as that guy's legislative director. Folks, if it wasn't already clear, this is the Republican Party. And these are disgusting statements to make, and I want every Republican to come out on record condemning these words.
They're not going to. They're not going to. The vast majority of them still haven't said anything about Kanye West, about the infamous dinner on Thanksgiving that echoed around the nation. They're not going to. These are people that have dinner with the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys regularly. They're not going to. They're never going to say anything. And for those in the GOP that are constantly talking about the liberal media, I've yet to find where that liberal media is. But trigger warning to all of my Jewish friends and family out there. The New York Times is at it yet again.
On the first night of Hanukkah a couple days ago, the New York Times published a crossword in the shape of a swastika. This is obviously bizarre in and of itself, but what makes the story more unsettling is the fact that things like this have happened before. In 2017, there was public outrage after this crossword shape was released. And even as far back as December of 2014, one guy noticed that the mini puzzle was shaped like a swastika. This guy remembers saying to himself, "I'm no conspiracy theorist, it kind of looks like a pinwheel too, it's probably just a coincidence." But he got worried when he started actually filling out the crossword, and the answer to the first column was Jew. I was like, there's no way that can be true. So I went back through the puzzle archives, and this is what it looked like. That is what? Now, in 2017, people were so mad that they released a tweet saying, "Hi, yes, it's not a swastika, we're sorry." And in 2014, same thing. They were like, "We don't think the author had any malintent. Spiral patterns are just super common in crosswords." Which, like, fine, but haven't you learned your lesson? This guy tweeted a few years ago, the New York Times upset people by publishing a crossword that looked vaguely like a swastika. To rectify this, they published a new crossword today that looks exactly like a swastika. Right? Like what? How can you make this mistake twice?
That's not a mistake. In a publication such as that crosses so many hands, and that takes dedication and intent when putting together a crossword puzzle in order to get certain shapes, that takes intent. That person was working on that for a while. Like I said, they've done it before. Yeah, doesn't seem very liberal to me. But from one form of media to the next, Tucker Carlson got real crazed over Zelensky's visit. And it's really unhinged. Let's take a look.
44-year-old Zelensky poses between them in a skin-tight polo shirt, flexing like a weightlifter and trying to look ferocious. He'd love a man in uniform. What a hunk. So strong and decisive. Look at the expression on Mitch McConnell's face. You could almost hear the giggles of pleasure.
Tucker, honey, I know that you're married to a lady, but are you sure that you're straight? Because based on some of the things that you say sometimes, I'm not so sure.
Oh, my effing God.
Somehow we were reminded of it today when the president of Ukraine arrived at the White House dressed like the manager of a strip club and started to demand money. Amazingly, no one threw him out. Instead, they did whatever he wanted.
Good evening. Welcome to Woke Tucker Carlson, where just like the show Lost, I'm popular, though all I do is ask questions I have no intention of answering. Like, how was Hunter Biden bad for America but good for my son's college reference? Why does Elon think the location of Hunter's private parts is free speech, but the location of his private plane is doxing? Why is it when Joe Biden negotiates aid to Ukraine, it's bad leadership? When Trump does it, it's a perfect call. How odd your conservative neighbor says the economy is crumbling, gas is too high, he can't afford milk. But then he buys 10 random Trump NFTs because he really wants the cowboy. How do you call drag queens a threat to America on the same day the leader of your party suggests terminating the Constitution? Who's really winning hearts and minds when you have to watch Apprentice reruns on Tubi While I get a new season of Drag Race January 6th, I can't wait. Though I am still salty about last year, #Justice for Bosco. Now, if you find all of this glib, condescending, smug, preaching to the choir, not really addressing the issues, well, congratulations, now you know how the left feels when we watch Tucker. Now, I'm going to stare at the screen with a face that makes you hear the sound of a 90s modem struggling to connect.
There are people who watch Fox News and specifically Tucker Carlson and hear what comes out of his pie hole and thinks, yep, this is great journalism here. This is the same man who sexualized the green M&M and was mad because she got revamped. He is literally sexualizing a leader of another country and showing his allegiance to Putin and Russia, unironically. And speaking of allegiance, let's take a look at the latest target of the Lincoln Project.
The Lincoln Project comes for someone they do not miss, and this is no exception. They have a message for the characters in the conservative media. Have a listen.
Field Marshal Putin offers cheers and many celebrations for American comrades who showed loyalty to Mother Russia. We have much gratitude and thanks for Fox News, most especially Comrade Tucker Carlson. For his loyalty, will receive highest Russian honor, the Order of Lenin. We thank Steve Bannon, admirer and student of Comrade Lenin, who led the Republicans to support of Comrade Putin's plans for Greater Russia. We thank GOP Comrade Senator Joshua Hawley, who blocked enemies of Russia that the warmonger Biden wished to appoint to his regime. Russia waits 40 years for American Republicans to throw away disgrace of Ronald Reagan. Republicans say they stand for America. Comrade Putin knows better.
Well, now, couldn't have said it better myself. Now, from the Lincoln Project making someone their target to someone who just decided to put a comedic target on their own back, let's check in on the Kari Lake hearing.
So Kari Lake's election hearing is taking place today, and it's going about as well as you'd imagine. Starting with her expert witness.
That event held in Missouri. Missouri. And was your travel from Alabama to Missouri paid for by someone other than yourself?
Yes, sir.
And who paid for that?
That would, I would assume, would be Michael Lindell. All their travel was arranged. He asked me to speak at the event, and I spoke.
And that'd be true.
So their expert witness has been speaking at Mike Lindell events? Okay.
That she works with Betty in getting records from Maricopa County in response to FOIA requests, Your Honor.
And you've also told me that this was disclosed previously, yes?
I am, Your Honor, yes.
When was it disclosed to?
Oh, I'm sorry, Your Honor. This last week has been like 4 months. And if you want, Your Honor, it's going to take me a good 45 minutes to look for our disclosures.
Stop 1 second. You're an officer of the court. I'm just asking for your word. If you tell me it was within
I'm telling you it was disclosed, Your Honor.
You're telling me within the last week?
Yes, Your Honor.
Opposed to this morning, something like that.
Your Honor, that I have created on 2 separate occasions at their request that I give them access to all of our records via a link so they can go online and download them. And I can show this court that I provided them at least 2 links to do so.
Wait a minute. I don't want to waste a bunch more time on this. We've already spent a lot of time on it. I'm just down to the last little consideration, which is disclosure, so they're not shocked by this. Disclosure is different than saying, here's where all my stuff is. You can dig it out, or it's in there somewhere. This would be a specific. You did a specific notice under 807. The clerk is telling me that they don't have your exhibit uploaded. So what you would be doing is playing something extraneous that you have that's not been uploaded into the system.
He forgot to give the evidence. Just an absolute clown show. And you know it's going well for you when the judge has to explain basic legal issues to your lawyer. The silver lining for Kari Lake? You can get 66% off everything at MyPillow.
I have a new favorite moment from the Kari Lake Katie Hobbs trial from this morning. I've been looking at some of the testimony just to kind of get a feel for what's been going on. Lake is claiming in part that machines were intentionally tampered with to screw her out of the election. Part of the argument is that printers were tested before the election and then on election day didn't print properly, so ballots couldn't be tabulated by the tabulation machines at each voting place. If they worked before and didn't work during, then there must have been some intentional sabotage, apparently. Take a look at this clip, though. The plaintiff's lawyer is trying to get an exhibit admitted. They tried to show it up on a screen so everybody could see it, but it didn't quite go as planned, and the lawyer had to hand a hard copy of the exhibit to the defense team. The judge then admonishes the lawyer, saying, well, if you're going to have an exhibit that's been approved, you kind of need to be able to show it. And then the lawyer talks about an interesting issue.
This is, Your Honor, this is Exhibit 69, but for some reason we did come in and test the system with that computer, with this AV technician prior to trial, Your Honor, and everything functioned perfectly fine. We're not sure what the disconnect is at this time.
So, regarding Exhibit 69, get your mind out of the gutter, they had come in and tested the equipment with the AV technician before the trial, and everything worked fine. During the trial, it didn't work so fine. So that's kind of interesting. Something that you test beforehand might not work when you're actually trying to use it. Huh.
Video is being made for educational purposes only. Nonetheless, this tweet came across my timeline from Kari Lake, and she tweeted, "Breaking, our election case is going to trial. Katie Hobbs' attempt to have our case thrown out failed. She will have to take the stand and testify. Buckle up, America. This is far from over," and she posted this photo of her holding her fist up as if she's accomplishing something. However, I came across this article. Arizona judge dismisses most of Kari Lake's lawsuit challenging election results. To get into the article, an Arizona judge has dismissed most of Kari Lake's election lawsuit contesting the victory of her opponent, Governor-elect Katie Hobbs, or as I call her, Bay, after Lake for weeks seized on unproven voter fraud allegations. Lake had asked the judge to set aside Hobbs' certified victory based on 10 counts alleging election officials in Maricopa County, which comprises most of the state's population, committed misconduct and tabulated hundreds of thousands of illegal ballots. Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Peter Thompson on Monday evening dismissed 8 of the 10 counts, ruling that they did not fall under the proper criteria to bring election challenges under Arizona law, even if true, so they did not merit further consideration. In other words, he called the cap. But Thompson allowed a trial to move forward on 2 other counts that he said, if proven, could state a claim under the statute governing election challenges, alleged intentional interference by election officials affecting Maricopa County ballot printers, and chain of custody violations. Since the midterms, Lake has rallied against Maricopa County officials and Hobbs, calling the election botched and a sham, as she vowed to appeal her case to the Supreme Court if necessary. Maricopa County, as well as Hobbs, in both her capacities as Secretary of State and a gubernatorial candidate, dispute Lake's claims and has asked the judge to dismiss all 10 counts. Hobbs and the county and asking for the complete dismissal argued that many of Lake's allegations were based on procedures put in place well before last month's election, saying those claims had to be brought before Election Day. They also contend that Lake's campaign's arguments are also unfounded and would fail on their merits in trial. Lake noted that Election Day voters in Arizona favor Republicans, which is true historically. Arizona favors Republicans, which is why Katie Hobbs' victory was so huge. She is the first governor they have ever had who is pro-choice. But she's also claiming that election officials had intentionally sabotaged her victory and their backup options still disenfranchised voters. She is claiming that more than 300,000 Maricopa County ballots did not have proper chain of custody paperwork. Y'all already know where I stand on this. Kari Lake needs to go away. She will not win, and when she doesn't win, I want her to drop this. A judge has finally accepted her case. I want her to drop this when she loses and just accept that she lost.
That would be best, but I have a feeling, because she's trying to be the female Trump, she's never going to let it go. She's going to ride this out. She's going to run for another office, and that's going to be her whole platform. That's going, yeah. Sad but true. Sad but true. Once again, do not forget to check out the links in the description of this video. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and click the bell. I will see you all Sunday for the Sunday sit down. Not everybody celebrates Christmas, and even if you do, some people need an excuse to get away from their family on the holidays. So I will be here with you at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. Till Sunday, y'all.
Coach Peter Morales of the Coronado High School Thunderbirds in El Paso, Texas, makes no qualms about it. He has a favorite on this team.
Mitchell, I need you to help me out with my coaching tips, Mitchell.
Team manager Mitchell Marcus has a developmental disability.
1, 2, 3.
But he far surpasses everyone here when it comes to love of the game.
He's just an amazing person that our basketball team loves being around.
Good.
And because basketball is that important to him, on the last game of the regular season, the coach told Mitchell to suit up. Just wearing a jersey was enough for Mitchell. But what he didn't know was that the coach planned to play him. And so it was. With a minute and a half left, Coach Morales put in his manager.
And just started hearing Mitchell.
But here's where the fairy tale fell apart. Although his teammates did everything they could to get Mitchell a basket, each time they passed him the ball, he either missed the shot or, like on their last possession, booted it out of bounds, turning the ball over to the other team with just seconds left.
Could you have ever imagined what happened next?
No, I did. I could not. Not at all.
What happened next happened on the inbound. The guy with the ball there was a senior at Franklin High School, number 22, Jonathan Montañez.
I was raised to treat others how you want to be treated.
What Jonathan did was yell out Mitchell's name, then threw the ball right to him. One of the most memorable turnovers of all time. It wasn't the game-winning shot. When the buzzer sounded, Coronado had 15 more points than Franklin. But Jonathan's assist and Mitchell's basket did change the outcome decidedly. Play any game with this much sportsmanship. Both teams win.
So after the